Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents. My name's James, and this week I'm joined by two correspondents, one who wants to be here and one who doesn't. Let me first introduce you to the one who doesn't, our Tottenham Hotspur correspondent, Ricky Saunders. How are you, Ricky?
I'm really good. This is a little bit of light relief for me. Bit of therapy, shall we say?
I'll help you, mate. We've been through this before, haven't we?
Many times.
And someone who definitely does want to be here, Clash of the Correspondents debut for our Aston Villa correspondent, Lee Jackson. How are you, Lee?
Very happy to be here. Very good.
Bastard. Before we get into anything, let me clarify something. We're pre-recording this on Tuesday afternoon, and if you hear a lot of horns going off in the background, that's because I live next to a main road, and most people are trying to use the two lanes outside as 3 lanes at the moment to try and get to the petrol station around the corner. Bunch of bell ends everywhere. Right, let's get into this. Ricky.
James.
I'm going to try and be impartial on this one. Where do we start? Do you want to start with the manager?
What would you like me to say about him, Mark? If you want me to try really hard, I can maybe find something nice to say.
Go on, find something nice to say about Nuno.
That he looks like a nice guy. He talks well. He's got good English. That's it. I'm out. You're like me, James. All right. He's the manager. He's going to get my support. I'm going to back him until the day he's not my manager. I can't see how this is going to change. And it's only been 6 games. His tactical approach to every game so far, probably other than City, has been very disturbing, to say the least. Somehow at the weekend, he thought it would be a good idea to leave Hotspur completely alone on his own, shielding the back 4, and everyone else just at the top end of the pitch.
I can't defend it either, mate.
Yeah,
I don't know what the strategy idea is there.
From some of the things that the players are saying, I don't really think they buy into the tactics. Well, I don't think there is any tactics. It's just inept. He's making decisions that we can, as you know, casual fans or more engaged fans, we can all pick holes in his tactical choices. He seems the only one that can't see what everybody else can see. I don't know if it's out of stubbornness. Some of it, I certainly think that he's showing favouritism to players that were maybe pushed to the fringes last year, trying to maybe bring them back in. But it wasn't his fault they're pushed to the fringes. But he's trying to, win favour and curry favour with everybody. And it's just not working because we've got players on the pitch that can't play together or that shouldn't be playing together. You can't have Ndombele and Dele Alli in the same central 3. And then they're both trying to get up the field. It doesn't work.
So let's play devils here, right? Crystal Palace, he picked this midfield 3 of Skip, Højbjerg, and Winks, and he got crucified in terms of how negative that looked. So he changed it, and Ndombele and Ali both play against Chelsea. First 45 minutes was all right, Rick.
Yeah, it was good.
And then it fell apart. So we say he's done nothing tactically, right? First half against Chelsea was all right. Then the world-class manager, Thomas Tuchel, decided the game, and he brought on 1 player, which is effectively bringing on 2 players in N'Golo Kante, and the game changed from there. So is this a problem that Nuno has inherited so much shit? Or is it just a case of, what were you hoping for and expecting? Because it's only 4 weeks ago we topped the league.
Yeah, that was, to quote an Arsenal friend of mine, that was the elephant in the tree. In all due respect, it shouldn't fucking be there.
Well, we know that.
Yeah. What am I expecting? I'm expecting a bit of tactical know-how. All right, against Crystal Palace, he played a midfield that had 0 creativity. And then against Chelsea, he played a midfield that maybe had too much creativity. He needs to go for the double pivot. You can't have Ndombele, who is not really famed for his tracking back, and Dele Alli, who, to be fair, has been a lot better with his defensive work, but it's still not what his game is about. You need to have Højbjerg and Skip, and then you can have your creative player as well. You can't give everything to the front line, or then decide let's just have 4 at the back, no creativity, and let's just isolate 3 up front.
So does that solve the problem then? Just going 4-2-3-1 fixes the problems, does it?
It probably, I don't know if it's going to fix them because, yeah, he has been left with crap there from last year. but it's certainly going to play to the players' best strengths. It's going to give us a much better chance. Look, I mean, what we're doing at the moment, James, I'll tell you, let me get my stats out. All right. Shots on target, 20th out of 20. Chances created, chances in opposition penalty area, 20 out of 20, position-wise. Shots faced, 19 out of 20 in the league. Obviously, the bottom end of 19. I don't even know. But the most worrying thing, and this is the biggest change and probably one of the biggest reasons why we're shit, is for distance covered, we are 20th in the league. And in the space of 18 months, 2 years, we've gone from being arguably the fittest team in the league that covers the most distance to a team where we can't play 90 minutes and we can't get up and down the pitch.
So, I mean, my big thing was that I think whoever came in, I said this before Nuno was appointed, whoever came in as new manager, the first job they had to do was get him fit.
Yeah.
And it appeared to me in pre-season that he had. We spoke about it on Correspondent. It was like, oh, they look like they're working hard here. Is it just the case that everyone else is now up to speed and it's showing that actually we're not?
Yeah, I think maybe our unfit players were playing against slightly unfitter players in pre-season. And pre-season's never played at full pelt, is it? But other than, even the Man City game, I wouldn't say we demonstrated our fitness. We tactically outplayed them. But all the other teams have dominated us. Wolves dominated us, Palace dominated us, Arsenal tore us at several new ones. And the Watford game, they didn't dominate us, but we were quite fortunate to win that.
I disagree with that, Rick.
You think so?
Yeah, we won the Watford game comfortably, mate.
Okay.
I'm not. Listen, there's nothing to shout about, but
maybe I'm looking at maybe my rose tinted are a little bit too dark at the minute. I'm seeing everything through negative eyes. But yeah, our fitness is shocking. It's absolutely appalling. And I read reports today. Some players think his his training ground tactics are brilliant, and other players think it's just an even more boring Mourinho. I don't know.
If I offered you Mourinho back now, would you take it?
No.
All right, good.
No, as well. Do you know what? Part of me would be tempted to say yes, because even Mourinho could get the best out of Harry Kane and Son, which, all right, Son hasn't been bad this season, but Harry Kane has been woeful. I mean, woeful is actually probably doing him more of a service than what he deserves. Sunday, he was just atrocious. He only two players that played more than 45 minutes. Nobody that played more than 45 minutes had less touches than him during the entire game.
You would expect, generally speaking, I know it's a little bit different with Harry because obviously in many games he will drop off deeper into kind of the 10 role and stuff. But being asked to hold the front line, which he was at the weekend, he is going to have the fewest touches, right?
Yeah, but he wasn't holding the front line the whole game. He was trying to drop deep, and he ran the length of the pitch to provide Saka with an assist. So he was.
At least he was trying, unlike some others.
Yeah, but he had 25 touches in the entire game. Brian Hill had 21 in 20 minutes.
Yeah, he's a busy player, isn't he?
Yeah, well, Dele Alli had 24 touches in 45 minutes. So what is it with Kane? Is he not showing himself? Is he hiding?
Would you drop him?
Yeah, I would. Yeah,
really.
For the next game, I would drop him. Yeah, just maybe a shot in the arm, maybe to help us a little bit tactically. But yeah, you've got to pick the players on form, and currently he's not showing it.
I don't think the solution is to drop one of the three good players we have got. For those wondering, Heung-min Son and Hugo Lloris are the other two that I'll reference. Lee, let me bring you in. We'll obviously come on to Villa and stuff, but what's your feelings on Tottenham at the moment? You can be honest. Just remember, you might not get invited back again.
When you were talking about Nuno, I was thinking what you kind of came on to, which is the fact that actually how much of this blame does lie at Harry Kane's door. I mean, for someone who got the most assists in the league last season to have registered 0.3 expected assists this season, he's not creating chances, is he? We can all see he hasn't scored goals. He hasn't had any assists. But in terms of the expected numbers, it's no better. He's not creating chances. He's not scoring goals. To me, he doesn't look like he wants to be there. We all know there was obviously the transfer saga in the summer. But yeah, I think Kane has to shoulder some of that responsibility. I think it's too easy to always point the finger at the manager nowadays. But the players on the pitch have got to shoulder some of that responsibility. You've got professionals there who've been there years, who are really experienced professionals. Son, Kane, Dyer, etc. Lloris, like you say. So for the start that you've had, or certainly the last three, it's just not good enough, is it?
Oh, we're well aware. You can come again, Lee. You've escaped. That was fair enough.
Just saying about Kane. I said, like, he's had so few touches. Is maybe he hiding? Maybe it's not him hiding. Maybe his teammates aren't getting him involved. Maybe they have pissed him off to that extent that they just kind of isolate him on the pitch a little bit.
Well, I've been at 3 games in the last 10 days or so. So Chelsea at home, he obviously played an alien position. It's not an alien because actually he played it as a kid, playing as kind of the left of a front three. He hadn't played in that role for Tottenham since Andre Villas-Boas days, though. At Wolves, it was excellent, mate, in the Cup. I don't know if that's the game because no one's seen it on TV, but he could have had a hat-trick quite comfortably at Wolves. And actually, even on Sunday, he's had the free header he's missed from the corner. He's missed the one-on-one chance as well. He easily could have had a couple at the weekend, despite being, I concede, absolutely shit. I think there is a fair point to say, though, that the one really good performance we have seen from Tottenham this season was with a fast front three of Bergwijn, Son and Lucas against Manchester City. But they narrowed the pitch, and they obviously the three of them could break on the counter-attack. And to be honest, Bergwijn's been a miss for us, hasn't he, Ricky?
Yeah, he has, massively. I
didn't think we'd get to that point, but...
Well, I didn't think he was necessarily going to play, if I'm being honest. It was really a toss-up between him and Lucas. But that front three, first day against City, really, really works. And Bergwijn, he's added energy, he's added pace. And we miss him. We miss him more than I think a lot of us realised.
If you could go back to the summer, and admittedly, it's worth saying because everybody says you should have sold him. City never offered more than 100 million for Harry Kane, so he was never going to go. But if you go back again, would you have been picking up the phone of City and go, look, give us 130 or so and you can have him?
Yeah. In hindsight, obviously, at the time, I didn't. Well, I kind of tried to be balanced. What could we do with the money? Well, knowing us, probably not a lot. But in hindsight, yeah, I would have taken the money because he's not offering us anything at the moment. We could have reinvested that money. We could be in a much better position without Kane being there.
What do you think of the new signings that have come in? Because none of them started on Sunday.
Yeah,
right?
that's the thing.
It's the same shit.
Yeah, I mean, we bought these players in who we all got quite excited about some of them, and we've only seen bits and pieces. Romero hasn't massively impressed me in the games I've seen him in. I mean, the first game he played and he was awful against Paco Rabanne. He was terrible in that game. But yeah, he's clearly not a bad player. He's Serie A Defender of the Year. That you don't be a mug and win that. So he is going to come good. It just maybe takes a bit of time to get used to the system and a new partner. Emerson, he looked okay in the cameos, but he's played cameos. He hasn't really done anything. Brian Hill, he looks the one. He's someone to get very, very excited about. We've got to get him into the starting lineup some way because he can.
That feels a priority to me because he just brings energy.
He was so busy when he came on at the weekend. He made things happen. He made runs. He made players around him run as well. We looked very, very flat until he came on. Yeah. So yeah, working him into that side is an absolute priority.
He was, Ricky, in my opinion, he was our best player at Wolves in the Cup as well.
Yeah.
So busy, wants to carry the ball, wants to take his man on. Some of his final stuff is a little bit erratic at the moment, but he just brings an energy to the team, which at the moment he doesn't have. And I don't think it's coincidental that the Wolves' performance was okay and he played the whole 90 minutes. I don't think that's a coincidence.
And I'm really pleased because the first game I saw him in was once again the away game in Portugal, and he didn't look very impressive at all. Actually looked quite poor, but he had a very makeshift team around him and nobody stood out that night. But since then, he looks dangerous. Very good.
Lee, let's talk about your lot for a bit. System change seems to be working, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's really exciting because I think we did become quite predictable last season. You knew every week we were going to set up with a 4-2-3-1, Watkins up top, Louisa McGinn holding. So yeah, it's been great. I think a lot of Villa fans were calling for a 5 at the back last season at times, or a 3 at the back. And it's worked so far. I mean, even when we lost that game against Chelsea away at Stamford Bridge, we outplayed them in the first half. It wasn't until they brought on Mount and Lukaku and some real big hitters that they managed to win the game. And ultimately, because Lukaku was so clinical, they won that game. But the 5 at the back's been looking really strong, especially Matty Cash getting forward. Trust him a bit more than Target in terms of attacking from that full-back, wing-back position. But yeah, it's looked really good. It looks really well balanced in terms of when we do want that extra centre back in there to then be able to counter attack, especially now we've got the pace of Ings as well as Watkins. It's done well so far for us.
If you stay with this system, it's quite obvious what the back five, if we can just call it out. I know the wing backs will go higher, but the back five, it's very straightforward in terms of who will play. Twanzebe will come back in for Courtney Hawes, won't he?
Yeah.
I know he scored at the weekend.
I think so.
And then Twanzebe will play centrally, Mings left, Conser right. You've got Target and Cash as the wing backs. That's set, isn't it? That's not going to change.
No, and I think there was a bit of concern pre-season with the whole Ashley Young Target dynamic, and Target did get pulled off after being absolutely humiliated by Ismail Sarr in the first game. But since then, Target has cemented that place. He started the last 4, so it doesn't look like there's any chance of him dropping out either. So yeah, the back 5 is definitely settled.
I guess Ashley Young would be the cover for both in this system, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
basically.
Definitely.
Yeah, so it's not a case of all, because people might be looking at it going, I don't know who plays instead of Cash. But I think Young, if something happened to Cash, Young would just play that side, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
And vice versa. Sure. Do you think the system sticks though? Because one of the things I spoke about on Monday's podcast was you got a lot of attacking like wide players and stuff. And in this system, they ain't going to play.
Yeah, so it was really interesting because we played the back 5 for the first time at Stamford Bridge, and it was like, okay, we're away from home, back 5 against a really good side, it makes sense. But when we did it at home to Everton the following week, that was kind of like, okay, fine. So it's not just going to be deployed away from home against big teams as a defensive setup. Actually, we're saying at home to Everton, this is potentially our best lineup. But like you say, without Buendia, Bailey, El Ghazi, even Trezeguet, you've got a lot of players there who are good attacking players that can't get in or don't really work in that system unless you drop Watkins or Ings, which Dean Smith has said isn't going to happen. So I think for now, the 5 at the back will stay, but I could well see us certainly in home games against smaller teams going back to a back 4 further down the line. And in which case, I think Twanzebe would drop out.
It feels relevant, particularly for Matty Cash from an FPL perspective. Because I mean, a 5 million, you think, no, I don't really want any of that. But actually, in the wing back position, we've already seen he set up a great chance for Target, who actually Target's average position was higher than Matty Cash at the weekend, I noticed. But that's worth saying. Manchester United have a real bias to attacking down the left-hand side at the moment, so that probably impacted that. There was obviously the goal against Everton as well. And I think there was a feeling about him last year as well that, yeah, do you know what? This lad's got a decent delivery on him. There's an attacking return in him. I think for those who are thinking he's right wing back, that's permanent for the next 30 game weeks or so. Not that you'd buy a player like that for that long, but it's not necessarily going to stick, is it? I don't think.
Not in terms of the attacking returns, no. But as an option, I think he's still the one you'd go to if you can afford it. If you want to say 0.2, Target's now dropped to 4.8. So if you needed that extra 0.2, that's an option. I don't think I'd go for Twanzebe yet. I think we need to see that back 5 being definitely used as a regular formation before you go there. Otherwise, it's just going to be a transfer out waiting to happen.
Yeah, I feel like you're right that if you were to stick with that system, then he could be a really good option. But I feel like it might be a transfer in waiting when he wants to get, say, I think at the moment, the back 3 really sticks while Leon Bailey's not fit.
Yeah.
And I think there's when he's back and then you walk into some kind of fixtures, like you've got a nice run, particularly sort of game week 11 to 13, where you look at it and go, you might shift the system again here. That's how it feels to me. You wouldn't see Bailey being able to play in a wing back position, would you? Because he kind of did in the Everton game.
Yeah,
he came on, didn't he?
Yeah. That was, if you look at his position map, he was playing sort of left wing back with obvious license to get forward as much as he likes. I don't think longer term, I don't think that'll be where he ends up. I think he wants to be further up the pitch. And I think it'd be more likely, like you say, for that nice run that we go to a 4-2-3-1, and he's one of the three.
Ricky, any thoughts on Villa defensive?
I wouldn't mind. I looked at Target at the start of the season. I just thought he was a little bit overpriced for other options that you could get. And even now, I think there's so many good defensive options, and people are going to go big at the back with the likes of Trent and Rudiger, maybe even Alonso, Cancelo,
Eric Dyer.
Or Davis, whichever you prefer. One for the teenagers there.
Hold on, we ain't been going that long, mate.
Well, no, maybe not. But I think the only place you're going to have, because everyone's going to have a Livramento or a Duffy or, a real cheapie, the only place you've got then is kind of like for a 4-5, someone like an Ayling or a White. And I just don't think the Villa fit into that. I'm talking of an FPL, obviously, perspective.
Yeah. I'd agree.
Which you may not have been asking me about. But Villa defensively, I like the back three. I wish we had a manager who could play a back three.
He did for 2 years at Wolves. The thing is, Ricky, if we got two good, this is why we say, if we got two good centre halves, why do you want to play three? Is that another solution for Tottenham then, to play a back three?
It is, and to be fair, Nuno has got success at doing it. I mean, we probably haven't, or the last time we've played back three under Mourinho as well. When Nuno has tried it this season, probably the last time was under Poch when we had Dyer in the centre of those back three. If we did play a back three, and let's say Dyer gets injured or Romero gets injured, you've then got to bring in maybe Rodon or Tanganga, but then you're really kind of not scraping a barrel because they're good players, but it's not leaving you with many options anywhere else. You can't really rotate, and we haven't got that many centre backs or people that can fill in. We could get to the stage where we're having Davis filling in at centre back, which is obviously not ideal.
Think that the back three could be good for Romero, I would say.
Yeah.
He wants to step out all the time with the ball and without the ball. Like, he can't resist. So he's going to get suckered in by opposition players, I think, when he plays in a back four, and it's problematic. But I don't think he particularly wants the back three of Dyer, Sanchez. You're taking another attacking player out the team.
Yeah. Already,
mate. Anyway, we digress from Villa. There's a few of your cheapies in midfield might be worth looking at, Lee. Douglas Luiz, I think I want to say, is close to a price rise at time of recording, had attacking returns in the last two. And Jacob Ramsey's same price, isn't he? Who I think is impressive at the moment. I like what I've seen of him, actually.
Yeah, he's one of those. When he came into the side last season, I think a lot of Villa fans looked at him and went, is he defensive? Is he attacking? What does he actually do? What's his role? And didn't really get it. And he looked a bit lightweight on the ball because he's still a kid. He looks like he's put some work in at the gym through the summer. He's bulked up a bit, and he looks a lot physically stronger on the ball. And like you say, he's done really well so far this season. Probably one of our best players so far this season. Looks really strong. But it's worth saying that I think Luiz, McGinn and Ramsey, between the three of them, there's such limited attacking output. They're your bench fodder. They're your enablers. They're your third sub, who you know is going to probably play every week. And all three of those at the moment look like they are going to play every week.
Well, Luis is on a few corners at the moment, isn't he? While this setup is in place, is worth saying. But listen, these aren't players that you would get into your FPL team to start them. They're no different really to your Oliver Skips and stuff. I don't think Højbjerg's not 4.5, is he, Ricky? I don't think. He's probably 5 million or so, I should imagine. Anyway, you wouldn't do that. I'd buy the Villa players. Moving on. That you don't need to comment, mate.
He's 4.9 now. He's gone down.
Oh, okay.
Get him now while he can, folks.
Brilliant. Terrific. I'm over the moon about that. If you suddenly changed, Lee, and went to one up front, what happens to the front two?
I think Watkins goes wide left.
Okay.
Or if Buendia's not in the 11, then Ings maybe goes behind Watkins as a number 10. Because we know he did that last season for Southampton behind Che Adams, didn't he?
I don't think there's a doubt that the idea is for the two of them both to play. It was kind of a talking point in pre-season, which obviously Watkins got injured and it kind of defaulted the answer for us. But there seems a clear intention for the two to play together. It feels to the outsider, Lee, that since Watkins came back, he's been the more impressive of the two. Is that fair?
Yeah, his work rate is just so strong that he's always involved. Ings can go missing in games. He can always pop up with a goal. You give him half a chance, you know he's going to score it, but he does go anonymous for long periods in the match. Whereas Watkins is always trying to get on the ball. He's always pressing. And because of that, I think you notice him more. But I would agree with what you said earlier in the week on one of the pods that Watkins would probably be the one you'd go to if you were going to buy one of the two now, just for that price saving as much as anything.
I think so. I think I'm selling Danny Ings this weekly, which makes me extremely nervous, but it's something I have to do to buy Lukaku this week. It's either sell Ings or sell Antonio, and I just can't be selling Antonio at the moment, unfortunately. But I know what's going to happen. I'm well aware of what's going to happen. If I just think about it, when Danny Ings scores on Sunday, if I just think about the longer term picture, I realise it might be the right decision. But I think, you wouldn't buy Danny Ings at the moment. Ollie Watkins would be a maybe. Would you feel haunted at all by some of the stuff you saw last season? Because there was a lot of games afterwards. You go, how has he not returned in this, Ollie Watkins?
Yeah, I think it was 4 or 5 times he had goals chalked off through offside and VAR, more than anyone else in the league. So yeah, he's going to be involved, but it doesn't quite feel like the right time for Villa. Like you say, we've got a nice run coming up after we get Tottenham, Arsenal, West Ham out of the way from game week 11.
Do you look at them next 4? What are they to you? Tottenham away, Wolves at home, Arsenal away, West Ham at home. What do you think when you see them 4 fixtures? Like, if I said to you expectation on a points total for Villa over those 4 games, what are you hoping for?
It's really hard because, like you say, well, last season we won at Spurs, we won at Arsenal. And so actually those, on paper, probably the hardest 2 fixtures out of the 4. You're going, well, why not? And with a full Villa Park, I'm not scared of West Ham coming to Villa Park.
I'll tell you said that.
So actually, yeah, you look at those 4 and you say, well, are they that bad? But I don't think that the fixtures you want to target to bring Watkins in, from a points perspective, I'd be happy with 6 from the next 4.
And the goalkeeper?
Oh, he's
come
hero,
back,
isn't he?
17 points.
Yeah,
you know he's gonna. If you keep a clean sheet, you know the points are coming with, don't you?
Yeah, and it's like we said all of last season. Anytime it can happen. We can put in a resolute defensive performance. He'll make a few saves, win at Old Trafford or win at the Emirates, and he's walking away with 12 points. It's just unreal. He really is fantasy gold. But at 5.5, it's hard, isn't it? Because there's so many good attacking players that we all want to try and squeeze in with Lukaku, Ronaldo, Salah's. It's hard.
Ricky, if I made you buy Lloris or Martinez, which one would you buy? Oh.
No, it would have to be Martinez. Lloris is solid and he's good and he'll make saves and we face a lot of shots. But as you say, when Martinez gets a clean sheet, bonus points come with it as well.
It's the same for Hugo, isn't it?
They keep clean sheets though.
No, I get that. But if you look at the returns in the first 3,
yes,
3 1-0 wins, 10, 11 and 6. And the 6 is the Watford game where he's not had a lot to do, right? So in the other 2 where he's had stuff to 10 and 11 pointers. Yeah,
I mean, but Hugo is I think he's about 0.1 more expensive at the minute. So I'll go for Martinez based on a 1 pip saving.
For the benefit of those on the audio, when I first asked Ricky, he gawped and had a little bit of hesitation, which somewhat surprised me because I just expected him to say Martinez. I take it you would.
I was just trying to go in my head. Are you talking about fantasy or actually the real player?
That's probably quite close as well.
Yeah, either way, it's still probably Martinez because of Hugo's age, if nothing else.
I wouldn't argue that. Tottenham fans will realise how good Hugo was when he leaves, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm absolutely certain of that.
Especially if Galini's number 1.
There's no need for us to talk about Galini. Much he played for you, didn't he, Lee?
Ex-Villa player,
I know Villa fans were like, he is terrible, weren't they?
Yeah, he was a bit of a clown, but hopefully he's developed somewhat now. I haven't seen him there for you guys.
Listen, Ricky, I promise you, he's better than Gazaniga and he's better than Joe Hart. I'm not going to say anything more than that, but he's better than them two. We'll give him that.
It's an improvement, definitely.
Ricky, people keep asking me about Sonny. I'm not really sure why. Thoughts for an FPL perspective?
from an FPL perspective, no. And it's so hard for me to say that because I love that geezer, and he's brilliant. And you've said it several times now, James. He will get over 200 points, but he's a lot of money. You're trying to look for funds to go for Lukaku, for Salah, for Ronaldo, etc., etc. We're so inconsistent. We're not scoring goals. We're not creating chances. So why would you spend £10 million for a player whose team doesn't create chances? And it's such a shame because he's such a wonderful player. And on his day,
but he still does the business, doesn't he?
Yeah,
that's the point.
Yeah, but no, for me it's a no. Not until something improves or until PSG have a couple of bad results.
Your thoughts on Son, Lee?
Unbelievable. You can't not love him, can you? And from an FPL point of view,
some people don't, mate.
From an FPL point of view, 10 million feels really underpriced. Like you said, all pre-season, he'll get 200 points, and points per million, he's going to be right up there come the end of the season. I think it's one of those where if I was looking at my team and I had a slot for a player where I've got maybe 10.5, 11 million, I'd certainly go for him, and I'd feel comfortable playing him in any fixture because we know how dangerous he is on the counter. We saw that game week 1, didn't we? So yeah, I'd be happy to have him in my team any game week of the season. Just so consistent.
He's not a player that we don't want, basically. I think it's actually a case that if Lukaku and Ronaldo hadn't joined the game, we'd probably be answering the question, although it's still the same. We'd be answering it differently, I think.
Yeah,
actually.
Totally agree.
I had him from the first game week, and it was my intention to keep him for all 38. And to be honest, I only got rid of him for the start of game week 4, because of how we'd been playing as a team, not Son, but as a team. And I wanted Lukaku, and he was my out to get Lukaku.
And he was injured.
Yeah. So that was it. But I fully intended to keep him for all 38 games.
Yeah, it was part of my strategy. And I won't say I won't go back there because, I mean, it's worth saying that everything feels a bit doom and gloom about Tottenham now. There is a brilliant run in the future, Ricky, of Leeds at home kind of in 12, Burnley away, Brentford at home, Norwich at home, a little 4-game stretch, and then Brighton away after that, Everton away afterwards. So you can say it's a 6-game stretch, 5-game stretch, or it's definitely a 4 in the middle if you include Leeds at home from an attacking perspective. And it is the end of Lukaku's run. I've still got in my mind at that point to go Lukaku to Kane in 12.
Yeah. That's your little filler between the end of Chelsea's run and the start of United's run.
Yeah.
And that could be a Kane or a Son, could be a real easy way to transition from the two.
The worse Harry Kane does between now and then, the more I want to get him.
He is going to. He's Harry Kane. I slated him at the start. He's still a world-class centre forward, and he will get goals. It's just a case of when they're going to come. They're going to come at some point, and when they do, they will generally come in a batch. He's not going to get one a week every other week. He's got to wade in with a 20-pointer, a couple of goals and assists, and he will bang into life.
If you owned him, would he enter your thoughts as a captaincy option in any way this weekend?
No, I don't think so.
What about next week with Newcastle away?
Yeah, possibly. With Newcastle, certainly Newcastle being at home, they are attacking a lot more. And I think that's going to be a much more open game than what it has been in previous years. So that would tempt me. Even though it's away, it would actually tempt me more.
He's actually got 4 in his last 2 St James's Park visits. They finished 3-1 and 2-2, respectively, those games. Another game last year that made me want to headbutt the wall several times over. In any case, I do think, in all seriousness, Kane and Son is a real conversation again, possibly around about game week 12 for a real short, sharp little burst, actually. And Villa have some decent fixtures around about that time as well. I can't see me investing in your lot at the moment, Lee. There's not a slight in any way. I just like defensively, I kind of like what Ricky said in terms of I don't find cash. I've got Kieran Tierney. Like, I would rather buy Kieran Tierney at the moment than Matty Cash.
I've got Ben White, and that 0.5 saving. I'd rather be sat here with Ben White than be sat here with Matty Cash.
Yeah, true. I suppose I'd rather be sitting here with White and Cash than Twanzebe and Tierney, if you want to compare it like that, for example. No, that's fair enough. Have you got any Villa players at the moment, Lee?
No, and I was just about to say, like you, I haven't got any plans to bring any in, despite the fact that we've just beaten Everton and Man United away, looking good, but not from an FPL point of view. Matty Cash is our highest scoring player with 27 points. We haven't got anyone that's really hammering doors down to say, I'm the one you want.
Reguilon's got 28, Ricky.
No, that's all from the first 3 games. I think he must have scored about 2 points in the last 3.
This is it. What we're really lacking at Villa from an FPL point of view
he's
is
assisted. Reguilon assisted Son's goal on Sunday, mate.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry, Reggie.
Sorry, Lee.
Sorry, yeah. We just don't have a talisman at the moment from an FPL point of view. There isn't one player that you're looking at going, yeah, he's the one, Watkins. Because now you've got Ings there. It just doesn't feel like Watkins is the one anymore.
That's interesting, that. Yeah, Danny Ings is going to go for me. Not because I particularly want to get rid of him, because I just think Danny Ings, anytime, any place, particularly against that potential defence at the weekend as well. I take it you're very happy with the job that Dean Smith is doing at the moment, Lee?
Absolutely, yeah. There's always a few with any club, I think, where the fans start getting emotional. Every time you lose, it's like Smith out or whoever your manager is out. But no, if you look at the longer term picture, where we were a few years ago in the middle of the championship, to getting promoted, to staying up on the final day, to having a mid-table finish, and that's before you even start mentioning all the great stuff we've got going on in the youth teams with winning the FA Youth Cup and the under-23s winning 8-0 last night and stuff like that. It's just all positive stuff, not just from Dean Smith, but from the ownership. It's all really good stuff. The other thing I think they did really well was how they handled the Grealish departure in terms of Christian Perslow, the CEO, doing a live stream immediately as it was announced to explain our view, our position. This is what we've done. This is how we've handled it. And this is why we've bought the players we've bought. It just all feels really professional at the moment.
What you said just made me and Ricky feel like a lot worse. Can I just tell you that?
Sorry about that.
So that's how a football club is run, is it?
Well, we all said that at the time. I think every club was saying it. Oh, yeah, do you know what? And to be fair, I'm pretty sure that Christian Perslow had months on end to plan for what he was going to say when that moment came, because it looks like you got the 3 players in you wanted, and then as soon as that was done, Grealish went. The whole him going to training, he wasn't doing much those couple of days. I think it was done. It was just a case of the Danny Ings transfer came from nowhere. Get the job done in terms of what you want to have your incomings in. That was the deal they struck with City. Look, fine. We won't. There's no fuss. You can have the player, but we want to get our business done first. And I think City were quite good with it, with yourselves as well. By looks of it, they weren't with us, Ricky. They just never give the money for us, did they?
They left Harry out to dry. Whines to the media about how we wouldn't discount our players for that. I've never been a big City fan, but I really dislike them over all of this. They've really. No, I'm not going to speak about.
I'm
City.
convinced.
If I speak, I'm in trouble.
It's what this podcast is for, mate. I put my foot in it every day, mate. If City had paid the money that Tottenham wanted, the 150, it would have gone. I think so.
Look, Daniel Levy doesn't want to look. Well, look, everyone kept saying to me, "Oh, Levy's keeping him a prisoner." No, Levy's doing what every other person does. You're trying to drive up the price by not admitting you want to sell. Harry Kane had a price. If that price had been met, Harry Kane would be wearing a light blue shirt. No doubt about it.
Exactly. Levy's looking after the best interests of your football club.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like he always has done. He's a tough businessman.
Do you know what, Lee? It's a very, very fair comment, because a lot of people won't agree with his methods. And I think me and Ricky certainly fall into that category quite often. In his head, he always thinks he's doing what's best for the football club. I think that's a very fair comment to make. But yeah, to go back to your original point on Christian Perslow, the way the whole Grealish thing was handled was very good. From leaving player, selling club, everything about it was done very, very well. What's your expectations for the season now, Lee? Because when we spoke in Correspondent Week, we weren't really sure, right, in terms of what the impact was going to be.
I think I'd still say what we said in pre-season, which is that if we can finish top half, that's good. If we can finish anything above 8th, that's great. That's really good. But I think anything bottom half now would feel disappointing.
What's your expectations, Ricky, for Spurs?
What do we need? 2 more draws to beat Derby's lowest points total?
Keep going. We've got Norwich in this league. We'll be all right.
Yeah, no, we'll be fine. I don't really have any. I think my expectations to start the season were a little bit optimistic, where I was hoping we could maybe not push for fourth, but be in a race should someone drop out. Right now, it's getting that team to finish ideally above Arsenal, but 7th, 8th, top half, and that's embarrassing to say that. But yeah,
this season's going to be all about what we do on Thursday nights, isn't it?
Yeah, that is our season. We're not going to win the League Cup because Man City will win that. Our whole season depends on the conference shite, and if we get knocked out of that early, well, I don't even know.
Depends on when we draw Roma, I suppose, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be put out by Jose Mourinho's Roma.
It's going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's the thing, and what's probably going to hurt us in the league, and certainly hurt the likes of Dane Scarlett as well, possibly, is that we're going to have to play strong teams because there's pressure's going to be on Nuno. We've got off to a bad start anyway, so we've got to win our next game, and we're going to have to play a team that, full of players that we wouldn't normally play and we'd be resting for the weekend. And these players are going to be absolutely knackered come Christmas.
How long do you expect Nuno to stay in the job?
As it depends how long Pochettino stays in the job.
So there's no alternative. I mean, look, if we lose to Villa and lose to Newcastle, is he done?
Ryan Mason.
Who generally would go back to that.
Yep. You get rid of Nuno. Well, look, I'm not saying get rid of him. He's played 6 games or 6 league games. But when he goes, and I think it will be sooner rather than later, for me, you put Ryan Mason in charge and you just wait on Poch.
Might be a long wait, mate.
It might be a long way, but look, we've tried courting Ten Hag. We spoke to Conte, Fonseca. They're all a no. The only other manager that I would genuinely love to go. Well, I wouldn't mind Brendan Rodgers. You know what? I probably would take Dean Smith. I said it at the start, and I was laughed at by some of my mates. Graham Potter. That's who I want.
That's who I would have had as well, Ricky. But Graham Potter has no interest because he doesn't want to work within Tottenham at the moment.
I can't blame him.
No, I don't blame him either. We've discussed this in the summer as well.
But that's indicative of where we are. And I mean the whole club, not just the playing staff, but the whole club, how we run, that we cannot tempt the manager, with all due respect, of Brighton and Hove Albion to come to us. That's embarrassing.
To be fair, they could have gone top of the league on Monday night.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, really interesting as ever. Thank you so much. Before I let you go, Ricky, prediction for Sunday.
1-1.
Lee?
I was going to say 1-1 as well. I'll go 1-1.
You're going to put the pressure on me, guys. I'm going to go 2-1 Villa. And it's not just a defeatist attitude. There's a little bit of fury in that. And it's the fury of the front two of Ings and Watkins. I think Chelsea second half against Tottenham in the 3-5-2 gave Tottenham so many problems. And it's the exact system that Villa are going to rock up with on Sunday. So I think it could be a painful afternoon. It might get a little bit worse for us before it gets better, Ricky, unfortunately. But to be honest, if I look at the two teams, I don't think there's a little bit more X factor with Kane and Son in our team, but actually they're just as good as us.
There's many Villa players who would get into our side without too much of an argument.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Probably more than half the team would be Villa.
There wouldn't be a lot in it.
No,
I'm not going to have that conversation now, but there wouldn't be a lot in it. There would be at least 5 Villa players in there.
Yeah, it'll be 6-5 either way, and you can argue over who the 11th player is.
Interesting.
Can I just say it all feels a bit doom and gloom with Spurs at the moment.
Of course it does, Lee. We just got battered by the enemy.
I wouldn't be at all surprised if we get.
Lee's broke up on us now. Lee, repeat that for us because we lost you for a sec, mate. All right, don't repeat it because we've completely lost you.
I wouldn't be at all surprised if we do get to the end of the season and you're 5th or 6th.
To be honest, Lee, I think shit can change, Ricky. And of course, at the moment, everything feels negative. And actually, my prediction for us to get beat at the weekend, it isn't actually that much of a. It's obviously shy us being predicting to lose at home to Villa, but there's theory behind it in terms of Villa's front too, which isn't something we're going to have to face often with upcoming teams. So that's the main reason. I just think Ings and Watkins will be too much for us. is my opinion. That's why I don't really want to settle Danny Ings this week. I wish I'd have forced it out last week because I'd fancy him I'd fancy him and Watkins both to return this weekend, actually. And that's not a recommendation to buy. It's just a tip for the weekend. All right, guys. Thanks very much. Ricky, where can everyone follow you on Twitter, my friend?
Ricky Saunders 77.
And for yourself, Lee?
Lee_Jackson_92.
Good stuff. Thanks very much. Best of luck to both of you at the weekend, guys. I'll be streaming my Ask James stream on Friday and again on Saturday morning ahead of the deadline. During the international break, we will have 2 Clash to the Correspondents for you, and that begins with next Thursday, another debut, Brentford versus Chelsea with FPL Dummy Tom and Rotation FPL. Other than that, thanks again to Ricky and Lee. Cue music, please, man child.